So yeah, I got real cocky after week 2, and week 3 did a fantastic job of ego checking me, which at the end of the day, despite being a challenge, is a good thing. Welcome to Get It Together, and if you're new here, this channel is just me trying to figure out how to get my life together and sharing the tips and lessons I learned along the way. And as you may have gathered from the intro, after 2 weeks of results beyond my wildest dreams, losing on average a pound a day, week 3 kind of brought me right back down to planet Earth with significantly more modest losses. As usual with these update videos, it's just going to follow the same format, starting off with the positives and the good experiences, then moving on directly to the challenges, and then finally ending with things that I know that I'm going to have to keep top of mind in week 4. Very briefly before getting into any of that though, tomorrow would have been Biggie's 47th birthday, and love him or hate him, love hip hop or hate hip hop, can't get mad at birthdays. That really essentially is the runaround explanation as to why I'm wearing the ridiculous sweater that I'm wearing today. But Biggie's gonna join us. Alright, on to the positive things, and the very first thing is I'm confident to say I'm officially a water machine. What I mean by that, it is truly a habit now to have at least 8 glasses of water a day. I don't even have to remember, I don't have to think, it just happens. And I'm really happy about that, because water is the very first thing that we need in order for our bodies to even be able to begin the process of burning fat. If you're curious, I'm going to link the video right here where I spent about 60 seconds doing a deep dive into why it is that water is the most crucial component in our body's abilities to burn fat. The second positive, along with the water, which are both things that I committed to myself to keep top of mind during week 3, is to not regret cheat day. And now 3 cheat days in, I can officially say that just taking a little bit of time throughout each day to plan for cheat day leading up to it has just paid off so much. Similarly to the water explanation, I'm just going to link right up here the video where I explain why it is that I regretted my first cheat day so badly, and the 2 very simple solutions that make it impossible for me to regret it now. Now with the positives clear, let's move on to the challenges. And the first challenge that I had was really dumb. I mean, it's entirely my own fault and super easy to fix, but I'm just going to explain it anyways. Basically, if you remember from my easy meal planning video, I had committed myself to basically having the exact same breakfast, and when it came to lunch and dinner, I was just going to alternate my protein between chicken and salmon. But this past Thursday, as I was eating dinner, which was black beans, spinach, and chicken breast, it was the very first time where I thought to myself, I think I'm getting a little bit sick of this chicken deal. Now, if you've been helping me stay accountable by following Git Vlog on Instagram, you may have noticed that basically from day 4 onwards, all of my lunches and dinners have been grilled chicken. Haven't seen salmon much. I haven't avoided salmon because I don't like it. I actually like it quite a bit more than chicken. I've only avoided it because it costs quite a bit more than the chicken breast does, at least at the Costco that I go to up here in Canada. So as you can see, this shouldn't even be a challenge. It was just me being dumb. But the 2 fixes for them are quite easy. The first one is to stop being cheap for the sake of being cheap. Even if every single meal was salmon, which I like more than chicken, it would still end up being cheaper than what I was spending on meals before the slow carb diet. A single salmon meal is still a lot cheaper than one combo at McDonald's. So yeah, I've been an idiot and I'm kind of embarrassed that I'm even saying this on this video, but it's still a challenge that I faced, and so I figure for these update videos just to be completely transparent. The second fix is more so trying to get more ahead of this. I'm already blown away that well into the 3rd week, this has been the first time where that thought even crept into my mind where I was getting sick and tired of having the same meals. But a second fix that I found was I bought guacamole for the first time at Costco, again chosen because there's 0 sugar in the ingredients. And let me tell you, I've been missing out for the better part of 3 weeks because that stuff is delicious. It's tremendously healthy, and it completely changes the flavor of the meal. It's like having a burrito bowl. So now, when it comes to just variety, I can mess with seasoning, I can finally switch up the proteins like I had originally planned to and stop being cheap for the sake of being cheap. And finally, I can add this delicious, super healthy ingredient that completely changes it. And so now there's so many different variables to give my slow carb meals so much more variety, and I love it. Now moving on to the second challenge, the real one, the one that I talked about in the intro, which essentially was I lost less weight this week. Boo-hoo me. I still do think it's important to talk about though, because I think it's just human nature. If you're stalling or if there's like semi-plateau, it's just pretty easy to feel discouraged. One of the saving graces was just having realistic expectations coming in, and also recognizing the qualitative benefit that at the end of the day, even if I didn't lose a single ounce, I'm still making significantly healthier eating decisions and making healthier choices for my life in general. There are a few moving parts though in terms of the explanation and the fixes, but at first thought, I really genuinely thought that this was arbitrary. It was already a plateau or stagnation. But there are actual real reasons why this happened, ultimately stemming from the fact that I just got a little bit too cocky. That new cockiness led to two very specific things that I did slightly differently. It certainly was not just an arbitrary plateau or semi-stalling. The first one, it's kind of a few layers to this. You guys have heard me say this to death, but having the breakfast that I have every day makes me so full that I don't even think about putting anything into my face for, on average, 7 hours. This then leads to a later lunch. And after that lunch, I'm really full again. And so this, more often than not, leads to me having to remind myself to have dinner. So in 3 days this past week in week 3, I just kind of let it gloss completely over, and I had dinner way too late. I'm talking like half an hour before I went to sleep. So eating too late was one very clear thing that I did differently. The second thing I did differently should have been super obvious to me, but it wasn't, and it's that cockiness again. I went to a friend's house to watch a basketball game, and Aaron, you're a cool friend. Basically, he prepared almonds for me, knowing that I'm on this diet and I can't have chips and pizza and that kind of a thing. But where I messed up is I had a few handfuls, and by a few handfuls, I meant several gigantic handfuls. It's important to note that I was not hungry at all. Again, right after my lunch, I went to watch the game. I was tremendously full, but it was just that cockiness and just, it was available. And I lied to myself saying that almonds are healthy, which they are, but like a small handful of them are. The worst part about all of this? Page 98 of the 4-Hour Body, Tim Ferriss specifically writes, common mistake number 6 is overeating Domino foods. Like what happened was literally written verbatim in the book. He mentions almonds specifically, saying 5 to 10 should be fine for a snack. But then he continues to say that basically nobody can have just 5 to 10 almonds. Then he closes that section off with one of my favorite quotes from the book. Self-discipline is overrated and underdependable. How very true for me. Just as a very quick side note, there's only one other variable that could have changed things, and that was the guacamole. But I don't think so, because first of all, I only had guacamole in one meal. Also, it was only 1 tablespoon, which again, I know we don't have to count calories, but it's 40 calories, it's tremendously healthy fats, and there was 0 sugar in the ingredients. So although it's possible, I really don't think that that was the cause. I have significantly higher confidence that it was a combination of eating my dinners much later and having a lot of almonds. So what are the fixes here? They're super obvious. Just respect page 98, common mistake number 6, which is overeating Domino foods, and just don't have Domino foods. In the book, Tim Ferriss writes that there should be no physical urge to snack, and if there is, it just means that you're not having big enough meals. And so far, literally every single day, it's held true, including the day where I had all those almonds. The fix for eating too late is also super simple. I don't think it's necessary, but just as a failsafe, I've set a recurring calendar alert for 9:30 p.m., which is officially the latest that I should be eating dinner. There's not even a barrier to cook dinner, because again, as you may have remembered from my cooking video, I make all 3 meals in one shot in 15 minutes or less first thing in the morning. So really all I have to do is if it gets to the point and I get that calendar alert, pop it in the microwave, zap it, and it's good to go in a minute. Now that the challenges are out of the way, let's move on to the things that I know I have to keep top of mind in week 4. The very first one just has to do with those Domino foods. I'm not going to sacrifice my social life for this diet. But what I've learned is that going to a bar or a restaurant to watch a playoff game, super easy for me to handle. I'm so committed to this diet that things like fries or wings or pizza at bars and restaurants, they're not even a temptation for me anymore because they're so far outside of the realm of what's allowed on the slow carb diet. It's really easy for me to go to a bar or restaurant and order a salad. But it's those Domino foods, especially the tricky ones where they are technically healthy if you have them in moderation, that I've learned are tough for me. And so I just gotta tell my friends if I go to their place to watch a game, to not be so cool and think of me and provide healthier options. Just break out the chips and the pizza and whatever they want to break out, because those things are really easy for me to say no to during the week. But healthier options like almonds or nuts, can't do it. Clearly I can't do it. I did a rough calculation, and again, I know we're not supposed to be counting calories here, but I unnecessarily, because again of how full I was, had over 700 calories worth of almonds. The second thing I gotta keep top of mind in week 4 is the same things that I've been keeping top of mind every single week after week 1. But with a little bit of a twist. Starting off with just don't get cocky. Follow the rules as strictly as I've been following them, and it'll be all good. But that's still an expansion on just keeping realism in mind and focus on the qualitative benefits, for example, the fact that I'm making healthier eating decisions, period, as much as, if not more than the quantitative benefits, which are the numbers I see on the scale. Speaking of these qualitative and quantitative metrics, the numbers I see on the scale, I've realized over the past 3 weeks the importance of being crystal clear on which metrics are the important ones to keep track of. And because of that, the next video is going to be a deep dive into all the metrics, qualitative and quantitative, that I believe are actually the most important, why I feel they're so important, and how I've discovered at least what works for me, as the most efficient and effective ways to keep track of them. If you'd like to join the other awesome people and possibly win $100 in keeping me accountable, check out @GetVlog on Instagram, where I have to post all of my meals every single day. If you feel you got value out of this video, please do subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next one.